Sam Houston and Murabo Lamar had become bitter enemies, while Vice President Lamar had opposed many of Houston's policies. Now, in 1838, Lamar became president of the Republic. However, Houston did not leave office that quietly. Before Lamar took office, Houston dressed as George Washington and gave a farewell address. As Houston began, Lamar waited for his turn to speak. Seeing that Lamar was eager to start his speech, Houston stretched out his remarks. When he finished 3 long hours later, Lamar was so angry that he could not give a speech. Someone else had to read it for him. The Texas Constitution allowed the first president to serve for only 2 years. It set 3-year terms for all later presidents. During his 3 years as president, Lamar undid many of Houston's policies and actions. You can see what the Lone Star flag used to look like, and you can see the familiar flag that we have today. Lamar did not want to govern from a capital named for his rival. He persuaded Congress to move the government once more, this time to the edge of the western frontier. Lamar had visited a small settlement called Waterloo on the north bank of the Colorado River. Only 4 families lived there. Its location seemed ideal for the growth of business and trade. Lamar thought that moving the capital there would attract settlers. This would help to expand the nation westward. Also, Lamar had more political supporters along the frontier than he did in Houston. His rival, Sam Houston, enjoyed more support there. Lamar decided to move the capital. Construction of a 1-story Capitol building began in early of 1839. In August, the first lots for houses went on sale. Lamar and his cabinet moved in October. Congress arrived the following month to begin a new session, and Congress named the town in honor of Stephen F. Austin. Within a year, more than 850 people lived there, including almost 150 slaves. A familiar face was among the new members when Congress began its work. Sam Houston's neighbors had elected him to represent them. Houston soon attacked Lamar's actions. He thought it was foolish to place the capital on a frontier when relations with the Indians and the Mexicans were so tense. I might have been happy at home I had not known the full extent of Lamar's stupidity, he said. If you go to Austin today, this is not the sight that you will see. But you can see back in the 1840s how bare it was and how it was still a very growing city. This was after the construction of the Capitol building. Lamar and Houston also disagreed on foreign affairs. Houston had put up with Mexico's meddling in Texas. He did this to avoid a costly war with Mexico. But Lamar wanted peace, too. He was willing to risk war to protect the nation and secure its borders. Lamar did not agree that Texas should join the United States. He thought the Republic should become a great nation and compete with the United States for an empire in North America. Lamar tried to settle the differences with Mexico peacefully. He sent his Secretary of State, Bernard B., to Mexico City with an offer. Texas would pay $5 million to Mexico if it met certain conditions. Mexico had to recognize Texas's independence. Mexico also had to accept the Rio Grande as the southern border of Texas. No one knew how Lamar planned to raise such a sum. Mexican officials rejected the offer and refused to even meet with B. Lamar made 2 more attempts to solve the matter. Both of these efforts failed. Lamar then tried other solutions. Peace talks failed because Mexico refused to negotiate seriously with Texas. Later, Lamar lent the Texas Navy to rebels in the Mexican province of Yucatan, who were rebelling against the Central Mexican government. Lamar also tried to convince Santa Fe in eastern New Mexico to join Texas. He saw this as the first step in his dream of expanding the republic west to the Pacific. Santa Fe was a center for trade between Mexico and the United States. Lamar believed that being part of this trade would help Texas grow. Santa Fe, in present-day New Mexico, was located east of the Rio Grande, which Texas claimed as its border with Mexico. Lamar reasoned that annexing the town would strengthen its claim. He thought that the people there would be glad to be free of Mexican rule. In 1841, Lamar organized an expedition to Santa Fe. An expedition is a journey made for some special purpose. About 320 merchants and soldiers set out from Austin in June. The group lost its way and ran low on water and supplies. Indian attacks slowed its progress, too. Almost 3 months later, the group reached its destination. Instead of welcoming the party, the New Mexicans captured it. They marched the Texans to Mexico City and put them in prison. The Santa Fe expedition angered Mexico. However, in later years, it strengthens Texas' claim to now what is West Texas. Imagine if Lamar had been successful and Santa Fe had been annexed into Texas. How would that affect our state borders today? Or would we even be a part of the United States? Lamar made no efforts for annexation by the United States during his term. Still, he continued Houston's attempts to gain recognition for Texas. These efforts paid off. In 1839, France became the first European nation to recognize the Republic of Texas. The French also agreed to trade with the new nation. Great Britain did the same the following year. These two nations were rivals in Europe. The British did not want France to have any advantages in North America. So by 1841, France, Britain, and the Netherlands and Belgium had recognized the Republic or had a trade agreement with it. Texas tried and failed to secure loans from other countries, including France. The failure to obtain a loan overseas was a serious blow. Lamar had grand plans for Texas that required money to make them happen. The Texas government had very little money, and Lamar went ahead with his programs anyway. Lamar wanted to create a public school system and a first-class university in Texas. At his urging, Congress gave each county almost 18,000 acres of land to sell and to pay for schools. Congress also set aside land to be sold to fund a university. Lamar's vision earned him the name Father of Texas Education. He told Congress that cultivated mind is the guardian genius of democracy. This later became the motto of the University of Texas. He is similar to Horace Mann, who was the father of the Common School. To make Texas a more secure place to live, Lamar strengthened the Army and the Navy. The Texas Navy began when the provisional government purchased 4 ships. During the Texas Revolution, in Houston's term, these ships had suffered damage. Houston had not repaired them or replaced them, in part to save money. But after Lamar became president, Congress bought a ship and ordered 6 more warships. This small fleet became the Republic's new Navy. President Lamar also reversed Houston's policy toward the Army. First, he fired Houston soldiers. Then, Lamar built a new army almost from scratch. He kept some of the officers, but sought a better class of soldier from the United States. These young recruits received free land for joining the Army. Like Houston's army, the new force was small. At full strength, it was only 560 men. The government supplied all food, uniforms, weapons, tents, and other equipment. Lamar had 2 reasons for strengthening the armed forces. One was to keep Texas free of Mexico. The other was to remove Native Americans from the frontier. In Lamar's view, they blocked the Republic's western expansion. Most Texans and Americans thought that the Indians had no right to the land. In 1839, Texas Rangers fought Mexicans and Cherokees who had raided parts of East Texas around Nacogdoches. They found letters that seemed to tie the Cherokees to a Mexican plot to retake Texas. Lamar sent troops to drive the Cherokees from Texas. This force defeated the Cherokees at the Battle of Neches. The victory opened the land in East Texas for settlement. Most Cherokees then left the region. The Comanches still controlled the Texas plains. Comanche raids grew fiercer as settlers pushed into their hunting grounds. The Indians often took captives during these raids. In 1840, one group of Comanches decided to make peace with Texas. They agreed to go to the council house in San Antonio and return their captives. The Comanches had beaten and disfigured one of the returned captives, Matilda Lockhart. This enraged many Texans. She also told the Texans that the Comanches held more captives than they had brought with them. The Texans tried to take the Comanche leaders hostage until the Comanches released more captives. The Comanches resisted, and a fight spread from the council house to the Indians gathered outside. The council house fight left 35 Comanches and 7 Texans dead. The death of one of their leaders during the peace conference enraged the Comanches. In response, the Comanches attacked the Texas settlers all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. An army led by Felix Hudson defeated the Comanches at the Battle of Plum Creek, near present-day Lockhart. This made East Texas safe again for settlers, and the council house fight damaged hopes for peace on the frontiers for years to come. So what had started as a peaceful exchange turned into a deadly encounter. The Indian Wars cost Texas $2.5 million. Other expenses during Lamar's term cost almost as much. The government collected only about $1 million in taxes during that period. Lamar ordered the printing of millions of paper dollars. He counted on obtaining a French loan to back this money. When France denied the loan, the value of the Texas dollar dropped to about 12 cents. Support for Lamar fell too. By 1841, Sam Houston and his followers controlled Congress. They refused to provide more money for the army. Later that year, Houston ran for a second term as president against David Burnett and won.